The Galactic Empire's flagship, Eclipse of Dawn, loomed like a predator in the void, its obsidian hull glinting faintly under the light of a distant star. Admiral Krell Theric stood on the command deck, his gauntlet hands clasped behind his back, his sharp, angular features etched with the cold confidence of a man who had never known defeat. Below him, the bridge hummed with activity, officers in crisp black uniforms moving with precision, their faces betraying no emotion. The Empire's might was unmatched, its reach stretching across 1,000 star systems, its name whispered in fear by those who dared resist. Yet today, Krell's attention was fixed on a single, unassuming vessel drifting toward them. A small diplomatic ship, its hull marked with the insignia of the United Free Systems. "Admiral," came the clipped voice of his second-in-command, Commander Vera Solis. She stepped forward, her pale eyes scanning the holographic display before them. "The envoy's ship has entered our perimeter. No escorts, no weapons signatures. Just as we anticipated." Krell's lips curled into a faint smile. "Arrogance or ignorance, Commander? To come alone into the lion's den?" "Perhaps both," Vera replied, her tone neutral. "The free systems have always been optimistic." "Optimism is a weakness," Krell said, his voice like steel. "And weakness is what we exploit." The ship in question was a modest craft, its design utilitarian, its presence almost laughable against the Empire's imposing fleet. Yet as it drew closer, Krell felt a flicker of unease, a sensation he quickly dismissed. This was no time for doubt. The Empire had orchestrated this meeting with precision, luring the envoy into a trap disguised as a peace negotiation. The free systems, desperate to end the bloodshed, had sent their best diplomat, a woman whose reputation preceded her. Krell had read the reports. A skilled negotiator, a master of words, but ultimately just another pawn in the Empire's game. "Open a channel," Krell ordered. The holographic display shifted, and the image of the envoy appeared before him. She was younger than he had expected, her features sharp but composed, her dark eyes calm and unreadable. She wore a simple gray uniform, devoid of adornment, her hair pulled back into a tight braid. There was nothing extraordinary about her appearance, nothing that would suggest the power she supposedly wielded. Yet as she spoke, her voice carried a weight that commanded attention. "Admiral Theric," she said, her tone even, "I am Ambassador Alara Voss, representing the United Free Systems. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting." Krell inclined his head, his expression carefully neutral. "Ambassador Voss, your reputation precedes you. I trust your journey was uneventful." "It was," she replied, her gaze steady. "Though I must admit, I find your fleet's presence overwhelming. I was under the impression this was to be a diplomatic discussion, not a military display." Krell allowed himself a small smile. "The Empire believes in preparedness, Ambassador. One can never be too cautious." "Indeed," she said, her tone betraying no emotion. "Shall we proceed?" The negotiations began, a delicate dance of words and veiled threats. Krell had expected her to be skilled, but even he was impressed by her ability to navigate the conversation, her responses measured and precise. She spoke of peace, of compromise, of a future where the Empire and the free systems could coexist. Yet Krell had no intention of honoring any agreement. This meeting was a ruse, a means to an end. The Empire would crush the free systems, and Ambassador Voss would be the first casualty. As the discussion dragged on, Krell grew impatient. He had expected her to falter, to reveal some weakness he could exploit. Yet she remained composed, her calm demeanor unshakable. Finally, he decided it was time to end the charade. "Ambassador," he said, his voice hardening, "I must commend you for your efforts, but I'm afraid this conversation has reached its conclusion." Her expression did not change. "And what conclusion is that, Admiral?" "That the Empire has no need for peace," he said, his tone final. "Your systems will fall one by one until the galaxy bows to our rule. And you, Ambassador, will not live to see it." For a moment there was silence. Then, to Krell's surprise, she smiled. A small, almost pitying smile that sent a chill down his spine. "Admiral Theric," she said, her voice soft but firm, "you have made a grave mistake." Before he could respond, the holographic display flickered and died. Alarms blared across the bridge as the eclipse of dawn shuddered violently, the lights dimming momentarily. "Report," Krell barked, his composure slipping. "We've lost power to the main engines," an officer shouted. "Weapons systems offline. Shields failing. Impossible." Krell snarled, his mind racing. "What is happening?" On the view screen, the small diplomatic ship began to change. Its modest hull shifted, panels sliding aside to reveal hidden compartments, glowing with an otherworldly light. The ship's silhouette twisted and expanded, its form becoming something entirely alien, something ancient and terrifying. "Admiral," Vera's voice was sharp with panic. "We're detecting an energy signature, unlike anything we've ever seen." Krell's heart pounded as he stared at the transformed vessel, his mind struggling to comprehend what he was seeing. The reports, the rumors, they had all been wrong. This was no mere diplomat. This was something far more dangerous. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice trembling with rage and fear. The holographic display flickered back to life, and Ambassador Voss appeared once more. But she was no longer the composed, unassuming woman from before. Her eyes glowed with an eerie light, her presence radiating power and menace. "I am Alara Voss," she said, her voice echoing with an unnatural resonance. "But you may know me by another name." She paused, her gaze piercing through him like a blade. "I am the Baba Yaga." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Krell felt a cold dread settle in his chest as the realization dawned on him. The legends, the myths, they were real, and he had just made the gravest mistake of his life. The eclipse of dawn trembled again as the Baba Yaga's ship unleashed a torrent of energy, tearing through the Empire's fleet like paper. Krell could only watch in horror as his ships were obliterated. One by one, their defenses useless against her power. "Retreat!" he shouted, his voice cracking. "All ships retreat." But it was too late. The Baba Yaga's wrath was unstoppable, her vengeance swift and merciless. As the eclipse of dawn began to break apart, Krell's final thought was one of bitter regret. He had underestimated her, and now the Empire would pay the price. The last thing he saw was her face, calm and unyielding, as the darkness consumed him. The section ends with the Empire's ambush backfiring spectacularly, setting the stage for the Baba Yaga's rise and the Empire's downfall. The narrative introduces the main characters, establishes the central conflict, and ends on a cliffhanger that promises more action and intrigue to come. The remnants of the Empire's fleet scattered like ash in the wind, their once proud ships reduced to smoldering husks drifting in the void. The eclipse of dawn was gone, its obsidian hull shattered, its command crew obliterated. Admiral Krell Theric's final moments had been a testament to his arrogance, a lesson the Empire would not soon forget. Yet for Alara Voss, the woman known as the Baba Yaga, this was not a victory, it was a warning. The Empire would not relent. They would come for her again with greater numbers, greater force. And she would be ready. Her ship, now fully revealed in its true form, glided silently through the wreckage. Its sleek, organic design pulsed with an inner light, its surface shifting like liquid metal. Inside, Alara stood at the center of the command chamber, her hands resting on a console that glowed faintly with runes older than the Empire itself. The chamber was alive with energy, the air thick with the hum of ancient technology. Around her, holographic displays flickered, showing maps of the galaxy, reports of Imperial movements, and fragments of intercepted communications. She absorbed it all, her mind working with a precision that bordered on inhuman. "They will not stop," a voice said, breaking the silence. It was deep and resonant, emanating from the shadows at the edge of the chamber. A figure stepped forward, tall and cloaked in dark robes, his face obscured by a hood. His presence was both comforting and unsettling, a reminder of the power she wielded and the price she had paid to obtain it. "I know," Alara replied, her voice calm but tinged with steel. "They never do." The figure inclined his head. The Empire thrives on fear. They will see you as a threat to their dominion, a challenge to their authority. They will come for you with everything they have. Let them, she said, her eyes narrowing. They will learn the cost of their arrogance. The figure, her mentor, her guide, the one who had shown her the path to becoming the Baba Yaga, stepped closer. You must not underestimate them, Ilara. The Empire is vast, its resources limitless. They will adapt, they will learn, and they will not rest until you are destroyed. Ilara turned to face him, her expression unreadable. I am not the same woman they ambushed. They will find that I am far more than they bargained for. Her mentor studied her for a moment, then nodded. Very well, but remember, power alone is not enough. You must rally others to your cause. The Empire's enemies are many, but they are scattered, divided. Unite them and you will have an army. Fail and you will stand alone. Ilara's gaze hardened. I do not intend to fail. The planet Kalos Prime was a barren wasteland, its surface scarred by centuries of war and neglect. Once a thriving hub of commerce and culture, it had been reduced to a graveyard of crumbling cities and desolate plains. The Empire had come, as it always did, and left nothing but ruin in its wake. Yet even here, life persisted, stubborn, defiant, and desperate for hope. Ilara's ship descended through the planet's thin atmosphere, its sleek form cutting through the clouds like a blade. She had chosen Kalos Prime for a reason. It was here, amid the ruins, that the seeds of rebellion had taken root. The planet's inhabitants, hardened by years of oppression, had formed a resistance small, disorganized, but fiercely determined. They were the kind of people she needed, those who had nothing left to lose. The ship landed in the shadow of a crumbling tower, its engines humming softly before falling silent. Ilara stepped out, her gray uniform replaced by a cloak of deep crimson, its edges shimmering with faint runes. She moved with purpose, her presence commanding attention even before she spoke. The resistance fighters, wary and suspicious, gathered around her, their weapons raised but their eyes betraying a flicker of hope. Who are you? Demanded their leader, a grizzled man with a scar running down his face. His voice was rough, but there was a fire in his eyes that Ilara recognized. I am Ilara Voss, she said, her voice carrying across the ruins. But you may know me by another name. The man's eyes widened as realization dawned. The Baba Yaga, he whispered, the name spreading through the crowd like a spark. Ilara nodded. The Empire believes you are broken. They believe you have no hope, no future. But they are wrong. Together, we will show them the strength of those they have tried to crush. Together, we will bring them to their knees. The crowd erupted in cheers, their fear replaced by a fierce determination. Ilara's words had struck a chord, igniting a fire that had long been smoldering. Yet even as they rallied around her, she knew the road ahead would be fraught with danger. The Empire would not sit idly by while she built her army. They would come, and they would come with everything they had. The Empire's response was swift and brutal. A fleet of warships descended on Kalos Prime, their weapons trained on the planet's surface. The resistance, emboldened by Ilara's presence, fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. Yet they were outnumbered, outgunned, and on the brink of annihilation. Ilara stood at the heart of the battle, her ship hovering above the battlefield like a specter. She had unleashed its full power, its energy weapons cutting through the Empire's forces with terrifying precision. Yet even she could not be everywhere at once. The resistance was faltering, their lines breaking under the relentless assault. Ilara! Her mentor's voice echoed in her mind, urgent and commanding. You must act now or all will be lost. She closed her eyes, reaching deep within herself, tapping into the ancient power that had made her the Baba Yaga. The air around her crackled with energy, the ground trembling beneath her feet. When she opened her eyes, they glowed with an otherworldly light. Enough, she said, her voice resonating with power. The battlefield fell silent as a wave of energy erupted from her ship, sweeping across the landscape. The Empire's forces were thrown into disarray, their weapons malfunctioning, their ships crashing to the ground. The resistance, emboldened by her display of power, surged forward, driving the enemy back. Yet even as the tide turned, Alara knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would regroup, they would adapt, and they would come again. But for now, she had given the resistance a victory, and a glimpse of what was possible. As the sun set over the ruins of Kalos Prime, Alara stood atop a crumbling tower, her cloak billowing in the wind. The resistance fighters below cheered her name, their voices filled with hope and determination. She allowed herself a small smile, but her mind was already racing ahead, planning the next move in the game that would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Empire had awakened a force they could not control, and the Baba Yaga was just getting started. The section ends with Alara securing a crucial victory for the Resistance, solidifying her role as their leader and setting the stage for the final confrontation with the Empire. The narrative deepens the understanding of her character and the stakes of the conflict, while ending on a note of triumph that promises even greater challenges ahead. The Empire's capital world, Etheris, was a monument to its power and ambition. Towering spires of black glass pierced the sky, their surfaces reflecting the cold light of twin suns. The streets below teemed with life, a sprawling metropolis of billions who lived under the Empire's rule, their lives dictated by its laws, their futures shaped by its will. At the heart of the city stood the Imperial Palace, a fortress of obsidian and steel, its walls bristling with defenses, its halls echoing with the footsteps of soldiers and bureaucrats. It was here, in the throne room, that Emperor Dravenkor sat, his expression dark as he listened to the reports of his advisors. The Baba Yaga, one of them said, his voice trembling, has united the resistance. She has taken Kalos Prime, and her forces are growing by the day. If we do not act now, she will. Silence! Draven's voice thundered through the chamber, cutting the man off mid-sentence. The Emperor rose from his throne, his imposing figure clad in robes of deep crimson, his eyes burning with fury. Do you think I am unaware of the threat she poses? Do you think I have not seen the reports? The footage of her ship tearing through our fleets like paper? The advisors cowered before him, their faces pale with fear. Draven was not a man to be trifled with. His rise to power had been swift and brutal, his reign marked by conquest and subjugation. Yet now, for the first time, he faced a challenge that threatened to unravel everything he had built. She is just one woman, Draven said, his voice low and dangerous. No matter her power, no matter her reputation, she cannot stand against the might of the Empire. We will crush her, as we have crushed all who dared to defy us. But, Your Majesty, another advisor ventured cautiously. She is not alone. The resistance has rallied to her cause. They see her as a symbol of hope, a beacon of defiance. If we strike at her, we risk uniting her followers even further. Draven's eyes narrowed. Then we will destroy her symbol. We will show them that hope is an illusion, that defiance is death. Prepare the fleet. We will meet her head-on, and we will end this rebellion once and for all. Alara stood on the bridge of her ship, her gaze fixed on the holographic display before her. The map of the galaxy shimmered with light, showing the movements of the Empire's forces, the growing strength of the resistance, and the fragile alliances she had forged. It was a delicate balance, one that required constant vigilance and unwavering resolve. Yet she knew the time for caution was over. The Empire was coming, and the final battle was at hand. They've mobilized their fleet, her second-in-command, Yarrick, said, his voice tense. They're heading for the Kalos system. If we don't intercept them, they'll overwhelm us. Alara nodded, her expression calm but focused. Then we will meet them there, gather our forces. This is the moment we've been preparing for. Yarrick hesitated, his eyes searching hers. Alara, are we ready for this? The Empire's fleet is massive. Even with your power, even with the resistance behind us, this will be a fight unlike anything we've faced. We are ready, she said, her voice firm. The Empire believes in fear and domination. We believe in something greater. That is our strength, and that is why we will win. Yaga nodded, his resolve hardening. Then let's give them hell. The battle for Kalos Prime was a cataclysm of fire and light, a clash of titans that shook the very fabric of the galaxy. The Empire's fleet descended like a storm, their ships darkening the sky, their weapons raining destruction upon the planet below. The Resistance fought with everything they had, their ships darting through the chaos, their weapons striking with precision. Yet it was Alara who turned the tide. Her ship, a beacon of light amid the darkness, moved with a grace and power that defied comprehension. Its energy weapons cut through the Empire's forces like a scythe, its defenses impenetrable, its presence a rallying cry for the Resistance. Alara stood at the heart of it all, her mind connected to the ship's systems, her will guiding its every move. She was the Baba Yaga, a force of nature, a legend made flesh. Yet even she could not be everywhere at once. The Empire's forces were relentless, their numbers overwhelming. The Resistance was pushed to the brink, their lines breaking, their ships falling from the sky. Alara knew she had to act, and act decisively. "Yaga," she said, her voice calm but urgent. "Prepare the fleet for a final push. We need to break their lines." "Understood," Yaga replied, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "But what about you?" Alara's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. "I'm going to end this." Alara's response was immediate. "Mercy is not in your nature, Draven, and surrender is not in mine." The Emperor rose from his throne, his expression a mixture of rage and disbelief. "You dare come here?" he snarled. "You dare face me directly?" "I do," Alara said, her voice calm but filled with resolve. "This ends now, Draven. Your reign of terror, your empire of fear. It ends today." Draven laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "You think you can defeat me? You are nothing but a relic, a myth. I am the Emperor, the ruler of the galaxy. You cannot stand against me." Alara's eyes glowed with power. "Then let's see who is stronger." The two clashed, their powers colliding in a burst of light and energy. The throne room shook, its walls cracking, its ceiling collapsing. Draven fought with the fury of a man who had everything to lose, his attacks relentless, his strength unmatched. Yet Alara was the Baba Yaga, a force of nature, a legend made flesh. She met his attacks with equal ferocity, her power surging with every blow. In the end, it was not strength that decided the battle, but resolve. Draven fought for power, for control, for the empire he had built. Alara fought for something greater, for freedom, for hope, for the future of the galaxy. And in that, she found her victory. With a final, devastating blow, she brought Draven to his knees. The Emperor looked up at her, his eyes filled with hatred and despair. "You cannot win," he gasped. "I already have," Alara replied, her voice steady. "The Empire falls today, and the galaxy will be free." She unleashed a final burst of energy, and Draven Core was no more. The battle ended with the fall of the Emperor. The Empire's forces, leaderless and demoralized, retreated, their ships fleeing the system. The Resistance cheered, their voices filled with triumph and relief. Yet Alara knew this was not the end. The Empire was vast, its reach extending across the galaxy. There would be more battles, more challenges, more sacrifices. But for now they had won, and that was enough. As the sun rose over Kalos Prime, Alara stood atop a hill, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The galaxy was changing, and she would be at the forefront of that change. The Baba Yaga had risen, and her legend would echo through the stars for generations to come. The section ends with the fall of the Emperor and the Resistance's victory, setting the stage for the galaxy's rebirth. The narrative deepens the understanding of Alara's character and the stakes of the conflict, while ending on a note of triumph that promises new beginnings and challenges ahead.